and welcome to the EmpowerHer Play podcast. My name is Yashmin, this is Salma, and this is Shafia, and today we have Sajid with us, and he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does in the Muslim film area.
Sajid who, Yash?
Varda.
Welcome, Sajid.
Well done, Assalamu alaikum. Lovely to be here. Apparently I'm your first male guest.
Yes, you are.
I wonder why.
There's an eject button there.
I'm really nervous because there is literally it looks like a shark tank
There is
below
a shark
here,
under
and
here.
I'm sitting on a glass panel, and I am wondering whether there is a lever somewhere on your side of the sofa.
Just be warned.
Alhamdulillah.
No, but welcome to our little studio.
Welcome.
The head moves as well. Oh, terrible.
We haven't even started. We're already on a high. So tell us a little bit about what you do within sort of film and what you've done as well.
Oh God. Okay. SubhanAllah. All right. So I suppose I've been in film and TV since I was about 15 years old.
Oh.
Before then, I trained as a professional singer, but I was with a choir for many, many years.
Wow.
Like a church choir, not a nasheed choir.
No, it wasn't a church choir.
Oh, okay.
It was called the Southend Boys Choir.
Oh.
So it was a choir that was started by Michael Crabb, who actually very sadly just passed away. And he was looking for a choir of over about 70 boys who could then, I suppose, perform across the UK and internationally, etc. So it was odd because I was the first child of colour in the entire choir, so out of 70 boys. It was funny though, because I remember going to the audition. I was 8 years old. I shouldn't have been going to the audition. I snuck into the audition because my best friend was going, and I said, yeah, I'm supposed to be going as well. So I went there, and I met this guy, white hair, jet white hair, sunglasses, sat down at the piano, and I walked in, and I swear his face was, are you lost? Are you in the right room?
Goodness.
Because they had the auditions in the school dinner hall. Then he said, like, what would you like to sing? Because I went to a
Hasana.
church school.
I
Yeah.
was going to say, what's the first song?
Yeah.
Come on, give us a little bit.
You wouldn't know it because it was a hymn. Because I went to a Church
You'd
of
be
England
surprised
school.
how many hymns.
Oh, really?
Hymns already on this.
I think it was called For All the Saints, which was back then was like really my favourite hymn. Astaghfirullah tubali. I feel I have to say that.
Oh, you didn't say that.
What?
Can you put that up on the screen when we sing our songs?
We like singing, thank you.
I remember. Subhanallah. I remember singing that for him, and he was. I don't know what he was expecting, and then after the end of it, he was like, and then he just like smiled. And the next thing I know, my parents got a letter saying, "Would you like to join the choir?"
I was in a choir in Aberdeen, and I think the teacher felt sorry for me, so she put me in the choir. And obviously,
Why did she feel sorry for you?
because I was the only Asian girl there, the only girl of colour, and she probably thought, oh, she's trying so hard to be. She felt sorry for
But
me.
why did you want to be in the choir?
Because everyone was going, you get time off school.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, you get to travel to Aberdeen.
That is true.
Yeah,
It was good
nice
fun.
festival
Nice
hall.
venues.
Yeah, it was really nice. I
Did
really
you have to wear
enjoyed
the
it.
clothes?
Yeah.
No, I
Not
didn't.
always. No, our uniform was grey school trousers, white shirt. We had a pale blue tie, which was a colour for Southend-on-Sea, which is where I'm from. Then we had this a band with like a metal badge on it as well. It was great. It was just funny because in the whole scheme of 70 boys, it was just a one brown face.
They put you
right
in the middle so they can identify you.
He did. Funny enough, it did transpire that it always looked even, but it was just me stuck in the middle.
Do you have any photos of that?
Yeah,
Had
can we
tons
see?
of photos.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
there's a
can
lot of
send us
stuff
one.
online as well. But the thing I really admire and love about him, and why I never got to say thank you to him for, was that he put me pride of place, but made me one of the main soloists of the entire choir.
wow.
So it was never, and this is in the 80s, so it wasn't based around.
Tick box or anything like that.
It wasn't that. We need to keep everything white.
Yeah.
It was who is best for the part, and I remember just giving me, so who's going to do this solo? Sajid. I was like, okay. And so I have a ton of love for him, and sorely missed.
So how did you go from singing to then going to film?
So when I was younger, I used to impersonate things a lot. Like I used to do Prince Charles and all that.
can we
So
see
I can't do that now.
You've got to do it.
I can't do that now. I can't do that now. It's much different. It's cuter when you're younger. And I think my parents were a little bit taken aback that who is this fool we've given birth to? Because my sister's always a
So
sensible
they said
one.
that about Shafs as well.
Oh, did
I
they?
still say
Oh. But you're just so normal. You've hardly said anything so
I'm
far.
just listening now
I've told her not to.
because it comes out all wrong.
Oh, my hierarchy within women, I tell you. Wow.
Oppression.
I am here now, yeah.
Patriarchal society, I tell you. So yeah, it's my sister's always been an academic, super bright, amazing, older than me. I got the looks; she just very good at studying. And my parents said, okay, well, what can we do with him? They said, okay, well, let's enroll him in a theatre school. And I ended up they enrolled me into Sylvia Young, which was one of the big, at the time.
Oh, it was their idea.
Yeah, it was their idea,
wow,
yeah.
okay.
So this is really forward-thinking, mum and dad. They already let me in a choir. They said, let's set him loose on the world of acting. Then I remember getting auditions, and then but my first audition was for a comedy series for Channel 4. Never thought I'd get it. I was up against kids that have been going to theatre school for like years, and they're all fnar, and here's this kid from South End rocking up, brown kid, and I auditioned, and they said, yeah, we'd love to have you back again. And then I went to the second audition, and literally 2 days later they said, we'd love to offer you the part, and that was it. That was my first role on TV. It was a prime time Channel 4 series and comedy, and I thought this is great, and then it just went on from there, alhamdulillah. So I've been really blessed. And then I think the pinnacle was Byker Grove, is when I got the audition.
Byker Grove.
Yeah,
Byker Grove.
Byker Grove, man. Byker Grove. Oh, you're Sergeant.
Biker. That's it. Biker.
Naughty kids are on there. You can watch that. That's what I'm
Oh, really? Wow.
That's right. It was.
You still turned out the way you did.
Yeah. Thanks,
Oh, wow.
So I got. I remember having an agent, and he called me and said, "Look, they want to call you in for Byker Grove." They'd been looking for quite a long time.
You weren't in Grange Hill though, was you?
No, I did.
That's
I
the
really
pinnacle.
loved Grange Hill.
Oh, yeah.
Byker Grove was good. I didn't watch it as much, but I remember starting to watch it more as they said, look, we would love you to audition for it. And then they had been looking for about. Oh, they had about 300. They had auditioned over 300 kids.
Really? Wow.
So they were coming to the end. I think the director was like, for crying out, we've got to do something here. So they came down. They brought some of the cast as well. It was a producer, the director, and the writer. The producer and the director. And they auditioned me, and they said, "Would you mind flying up to Newcastle so you can do a screen test?"
Wow.
So I said, "Sure." So they flew me up. And this is while I was at university. So I was actually studying at university at the same time, and I was auditioning. Because as you know, brown folk,
So what
we have
was
to be
you
careful.
in Byker Grove then? Not a
Yeah, I
kid
was
then?
going to say.
No, I had just turned 21, but I was playing a 17-year-old.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's supposed to be like that, isn't it?
So I went to the screen test, and at the end of it, the director wouldn't tell me. He goes, "Look, would you mind going to the makeup trailer?" I said, "Sure."
You need to make
And
it all
then-
white.
Or a bit more brown.
Can we make you less handsome? And so they said that, okay, they said, can we make him look a bit younger? And so they did all of that, and he said that he's a Scottish guy. He's a lovely Jim. He goes, Sajid goes, "Do you think you can lose weight in 6 weeks?" So I was a little bit porky with all the kebabs I was having at uni, and I said, "Yeah, I can do it for you." He goes, "Okay," and then literally the next day, my agent said they want you to have the part.
Oh, well done.
And then the next 6 weeks I ended up losing about 1.5 stone. I was training twice a day, 4 times a week, and it was brilliant. And then I remember meeting him at Byker, and he goes, "Sajid," I said, "So what made you?" He goes, "Look," he goes, "when you walked in the door, I knew you were that character." He goes, "I was just praying that when you opened your mouth." that it was confirmed. He goes, "For us, it was just a no-brainer." So that was a real blessing. So I had the lead on Byker on a big racism storyline. Then from there, I just carried on, and then I had
Did
to
you
quit.
love it at that time?
I
Quite
loved it.
young when you
It was
joined.
different because fame was different back then because there's no social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very instant. Wherever I went up and down the country, I did a theatre tour and I was getting mobbed at schools. I ended up having my shirt ripped and all sorts just because kids just wanted autographs.
Man, you didn't have to do that.
She's still got a piece of it.
I've still got a tiny piece
The
there.
restraining order sadly expired, so we need to revisit that. But it was very different back then, and the community was very, they reacted to it very differently. I think back then it was just this one brown kid that had got to prime time, but there were just a ton of kids who were from all different backgrounds, white, black, who were just so excited about the story. And then from there I quit because my dad I got the lead in a West End play, and then I had to I had to decline it because my dad got quite unwell, and then I looked after him, and then after that I left the industry for a very long time.
Oh, really? So what made you come back? And this new work that you're doing, the Muslim Film Festival, isn't it? Is that what you...
Good research. It's called the Muslim International Film Festival.
Man, sorry.
Yeah,
I thought it was only based in Ilford.
I was like, you got all my questions out then, isn't it?
I'm from Ilford. I don't know about these things.
International, what's that?
International. It's Ilford, love. It's Redbridge. So the UK Muslim Film, which is a charity, which we set up about 3 years ago, and I came back into film and TV, actually, funnily enough, because I'd started in Islam Channel 20 years ago last month.
Oh, wow.
So that's 2004. So
Don't
that was
look
my
a day
first...
over 21.
Oh, stop it.
Sorry, that's a running joke. I haven't told you about.
No,
All right.
clearly.
You don't want to know.
No. Alhamdulillah.
Where's the auntie card?
Auntie card. So yeah, it's about 20 years. So I started there. So that was my first foray back into on screen.
Wow.
So that was really good fun. And then it was just a very random thing. I was in the States. I met this wonderful sister who is a writer and director. I had this wonderful idea for a feature film, and it was called The Tiger Hunter. And I said, yeah, sure, I love the idea. Let's see some revisions of the script. I got involved. I ended up, I suppose, helping to find financing for it. And we filmed that in LA and filmed it in India. We had a really good cast. We had the lead of Napoleon Dynamite, John Heder. We had Kevin Pollak from A Few Good Men. Really good cast, strong cast. And alhamdulillah, it was exciting to be back into it. And then at the same time, I got contacted really out the blue for a role in a short comedy film called The Chop. And I auditioned, I got the part, and then I ended up coming aboard as a producer, put some financing into it. And then alhamdulillah, it went on to win about 54 awards around the world.
Oh, mashallah, well done.
And I was like, oh, I like this. Alhamdulillah, okay. No, it's all from Allah. It's just it was. I maybe it's because I gave something up for Allah, because I was looking after my dad, that Allah's one to rewarded me with what I really love. Maybe only Allah knows, but I feel so blessed and happy that I'm back doing what I really love, but also able to help other people, and that's why we set up UK Muslim Film.
Do you want to ask your question?
Dan, your question.
Yes, please.
I got a few written
Yes,
down
I have
here.
actually. What are you doing to empower Muslim women?
What
and
was your favourite film? Sorry.
I've got another question.
Can't explain that one.
And how has that helped to change your narrative?
I love that question. So,
Thank you.
She thought of it all by herself.
Well done. What are we doing to empower Muslim? I'm finding that there are a lot of Muslim women in the film and TV industry, and some at really high levels as well. And that for me has been really encouraging. UK Muslim Film, I would say probably about 90% female-led. It's a volunteer-led charity, but I'd say we're 90% female-led, which is great. In terms of all the collaborations that we have, we seem to be working with a lot of female filmmakers, Muslim filmmakers as well,
Wow.
Alhamdulillah. And even our advisors, and we've got people working at Studio Canal, she's Muslim. We have somebody who was one of the top branding execs in the industry, who used to do a lot of branding for UEFA and a lot of the big championships.
I really thought it'd be a male-dominated field, actually.
There are men, that they
But
are
I thought
there.
it'd be more dominated by men.
At the top level.
Decision-making there are,
level.
absolutely. But so there are three things that we do as a charity. First and foremost, we work with the industry to how do we help you tell better stories. So when you're representing Muslims in Islam, often or not, it's always those four tropes. Muslims are terrorists, Muslim men are misogynists, Muslim women are oppressed, and Islam is a threat to the West. Those are kind of the 4 main tropes that you see in TV and film. And usually the industry can be a bit lazy. They don't necessarily have a sounding board to say, is this okay? Do you think we're getting it right here? They just put it out there and just hope that, no one's going to really care much. So our role was, okay, well, how can we help you tell better stories, more authentic stories? How do we bring talent to the door? So we do a lot of story consulting. And then we've been placing Muslims into the industry as well. And we're finding we've been placing actually a lot more Muslim women in the industry in very high, like high-end TV and film than we have been placing guys. Oh. I'm just finding the talent level amongst our sisters is incredible.
So how do you challenge those narratives that you just mentioned, those 4 tropes? What would that discussion look like? Yeah,
it can be pretty brutal sometimes. It has to be, because otherwise you're not going to be true to your community, yourself, and to your faith. The whole point is, why you're doing it. You're doing it because it's about pleasing Allah. And also it's about how do we get the narrative correct, because it's dawah as well. Yeah. If we have bad representation, then what happens is people think, oh, that's what Islam is. Or like, for example, my favourite example is Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where you have the brilliant Morgan Freeman doing Salah, and it's this very mystical and it's like very Aladdin-esque. Even Aladdin has issues. So it's who did you chat to? Well, there probably wasn't anyone that they spoke to at the time. They probably saw a brown person, but he was probably Hindu or Sikh, right? If they even existed on set at the time. So it's about let's take the script. What are you trying to show here? If it's about terrorism, the whole question comes down to, why are you telling this story? Do you need to tell this story? Because right now we need other stories other than terrorism, because for us, what we don't want to be linked to or connected to is every story about Muslim is linked to some kind of oppression or terrorism, or I suppose male domination or abuse, that kind of thing. And because there are so many other richer stories, and so the question is, why you're doing it. And often they don't have an answer. It's just because we have a great writer, it's funded, and we think it's going to make a great show. Yeah. Then the question is, but do you understand that when this comes out, this has a real world impact on us the next day?
Absolutely. Yeah.
They don't think about it. I said, you as an exec or as a producer or a writer, I said, you can go home, you can go out and go home completely anonymous. No one's going to bat an eyelid because you're not Muslim and you're not recognisably Muslim. Yeah. But for our sisters who had to cope with The Bodyguard the day after that came out, I was on the tube that following day, and I was almost having to safeguard or try to keep an eye out for our sisters on the train and miss a few stops just to make sure that they got off okay. And I was letting other people know, say, look, please do this when you're on the train. And a way just to look out for this, because we recognise that it really made sisters uncomfortable. I don't know how it made you feel. I'm sure it did. It's like, really not again. Yeah. So that's what I challenged them
and
with.
And it's compounded into people's brains, isn't it? It is. It's one Muslim terrorist after a Muslim terrorist that they show, and that people just form that narrative and that stereotype that we're all terrorists,
connection that they make in their mind. So when I was being interviewed by journalists when we launched 3 years ago, I was playing the word association game with journalists, and it was really uncomfortable for them, because when I'd say sun, moon, rain, sun, or rain, wet, then I say Muslim, and there'll be a pause.
Yeah.
And then I say, why are you pausing? And you could see they were visibly uncomfortable, and I say, Sajid, I'm really sorry to say this, but I get what you're saying. Because the word that came into their mind was not a positive word. It was terrorist. Or violent.
But it does not help the Hollywood and the Bollywood are always making the films, making the Muslims as a terrorist, don't they? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Right, because every film they make it could be others that can be terrorists too, can't they?
But others are not classified as terrorists, though. They're just baddies, aren't they? Yeah. They're not terrorists. If it's a Muslim, visibly Muslim then it's a terrorist. Even in real life, it's not, if a murder happens and it's a Muslim that does it, then it's a terrorist incident, and if it's not, then they've got mental health issues, or they've got family issues.
When we hear there's a report of something and there's that,
we get scared, don't we?
And we wait, don't we? We wait for that bit of information.
What's the fate? It's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, we do that.
They reverted out to Islam. Oh, Allah Akbar.
But it's just such a sad situation.
But that's how it is for us.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. So I have to have very difficult conversations, and I've had to say, look, come back to me when you've really thought about this, and then. In some cases, I've never heard back, and then I've looked, and that project has never gone anywhere.
Because I was going to say, do you get the no, Sajid? It's in your head. This is not the way it is. Kind of response, isn't it?
Then I say, well, why are you talking to me then? Because if you want a sounding board and someone who's going to stop you from being protested at or cancelled, then at least take a steer from us. What you do after that is up to you. I'm not here to police your creativity, but I'm here to ensure that you're making the right choices that don't impact my community, because I've got to think about us first, my community first. If I can do something with you that means one less person is verbally or physically attacked, then that's job done. Often or not, they're really good. I remember one which they were brilliant, and they're doing this drama series, and they gave me 4 pages. I had 4 pages, and I went in to see them. I annotated it everywhere, and they said, "So what do you think? Where do I start?" And then I started, and the director, he just put his head in his hands, and he just went on a rant of expletives, and he was like, no,
took me 2 years to think of that one.
Yeah, because for him it was, I can't believe we were about to do something that was going to have such a big impact or negative impact on it.
Good realization,
it
though.
was a really good realization. The other one, this is he's a great creator of a show, and it was the Good Karma Hospital.
Oh, I love that.
He's the creator of the show. He did Delicious, which is another really great series that he did. And I remember having a chat with him, and I was with him and a few of his team, and they were just feeling a bit uncomfortable. I said, look, no question is a bad question. Just ask whatever you want. And they were kind of talking about Islam, and they're asking lots of questions. And at the end of it, he said, you know what? There are so many things that we have misunderstood about your faith. He goes, this forum or this platform has really been so helpful for us that it's changed our own, the perceptions or misconceptions.
It's conversations.
It's
literally
what Yashmin said, isn't it? It's just ask the question. A simple question, and you'll have a simple answer. There's no point making assumptions and being too scared to ask it. If there's a barrier, tell us what the barrier is, and you can find out what the barrier is just by asking a simple question.
Not assumptions, not guesses, none of that, just asking. Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. All it is about having an engaging conversation, and I always say to them, look, ask whatever you like. It's no question's a bad question. No one's going to laugh and have a giggle. If you think it's offensive, great, ask it. Because that maybe you're thinking it's offensive, but actually it's not.
Yeah.
But
so
unless you ask that
question,
thing
you've heard
what's
about Muslims?
I've heard everything. Really. I really haven't. I think what's happened is that we've forged so many great alliances and friendships within the industry now. Alhamdulillah, that I've been working on Hollyoaks now for 2 years.
Oh.
As a story consultant, and that has been a great experience. So I've been working with the main Malik family on there, but meeting all the execs and the directors, and just the level of conversations I have with the story teams, and the production teams, and then the crew. It's really interesting to understand how their mindsets have changed, but also the research team, how they now feel empowered to go and do their own research. I've now looked up this. Well, is this correct? So that's brilliant research. Brilliant. Ordinarily, they wouldn't have done that because they would have felt quite challenged.
Well,
or
even the simplest
restricted.
things that annoy me is like they'll have a Muslim woman and her name would be Sangeet or something, and you're thinking that's not even a Muslim name. Do you know what I mean? Like, that is the simplest thing you could have found out.
That's a really good example of where they really haven't thought of the attention to details at the name. That has come up a couple of times where I'm not quite sure why you're using this name because it's not a Muslim name. So what should it be? It's like, I've got a list of about 1,000
Exactly.
that you can use. It's a name book, yes. Get out the baby name book. Everyone's got one in their house.
But do you find you get a lot of like the haram police as well in terms of the Muslim community saying, "Oh, you work in the film industry"?
No.
Okay.
No,
Because automatically you do kind of think, "Oh, the film industry, isn't it?" There is a little bit of that.
I haven't encountered anyone. You're going to get people who say, "Look, I just don't watch TV and film." Great, but that's fine. That's not who I'm targeting. But our work will benefit you, and it will benefit your daughters. It will benefit your kids. For years to come, inshallah. Where we hope that we're building more trust and confidence within the wider communities, and perhaps a better understanding of us as a community in faith. So that will benefit you, but that's fine. If you're not engaged with it, that's okay.
Really? I just thought you'd have the haram
No,
police.
exactly.
Oh, it's just us, isn't it?
I think everything has changed a lot because being on Islam Channel back in the early 2000s, there were the haram police there. So back then I was doing an entertainment show. It was like a chat show.
Entertainment and Islam?
I know, exactly. So we would get, I'm sure I've got these emails somewhere about brother, there's a couple of things, right? I'd get the ones which is, brother, you shouldn't be laughing, there's nothing to laugh about in life because, we are Muslims, we are serious, and we have to think about the akhirah, and you shouldn't, and comedy, all this is haram, brother,
We're not laughing anymore.
She get all of that. And then live on TV, I get people calling me because I didn't have a beard, and they would say, brother, nice watching you on your show, but you must pray 5 times a day. Praying, but I'm like, how do you know? Do you have a camera set up in my house that you know my level of obedience to Allah just because so you had people just making a lot of assumptions and people would phone up and they would openly say, look, what you're doing is haram, you shouldn't be laughing. There are no laughing matters in Islam, about the severity.
Trouble, girls.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
But that was 20 years ago.
It still exists.
It will do. But again, if it depends on your audience, and if you've got a ton of men contacting you saying, why are you watching us in the first place? And does your wife know?
Yeah.
That you're watching us?
That's a good response.
That's a good response.
Let's get that on our t-shirts.
Welcome to the Muslimah Sports Association, where empowerment and sportsmanship meet for Muslim women. Dive into our world of sports, tailored exclusively for you. From the exhilarating teamwork of football and the strategic plays of netball to the challenging strokes of dragon boat racing and the precision of fencing, whether you're looking to find your strength in wellness classes or experience the thrill of the NFL, we've got it all. Join a community where faith meets fitness, courage and camaraderie. The Muslimah Sports Association, where every Muslim woman discovers her champion within. Visit us today and kickstart your journey to greatness. Your sport, your sisterhood, your strength.
About Chris now.
Chris, yes.
Yes. Where did you
She's like,
meet
why
him?
wasn't
I'm a
she
big fan.
invited?
I'm a big fan of Chris Hemsworth.
Is this the one you were talking about?
Is this the one?
Why? What have you been telling?
Reputation precedes you.
Yes.
Oh, and I can see that now.
Oh, subhanallah.
Can I get to meet him?
And if you got contacts with
Not now.
Oh, not now.
Towards
Not
the
now.
premiere or something,
Please.
wasn't it?
I've asked everybody, but that was we didn't count.
Oh, bless Alhamdulillah. So I was very fortunate to become a member of BAFTA a couple of years back as a voting member. That in itself is challenging because there's very, very few that you'll find that are full members of BAFTA on who've got voting rights, so to speak, right? So we get invited to screenings, especially coming to from September onwards, because the BAFTA awards are in February time.
Okay.
So every film is out there trying to wanting the BAFTA members to watch their films and to vote in favour of their film, right? Because some films are great, others, just not your thing.
Yeah.
So you get opportunities to attend these special screenings, and what they do is they bring cast and crew down. So last night, actually, I went to the one for Saturday Night, which is about the origins of Saturday Night Live, the American TV show. And it was actually it was actually written, directed by two people I worked with on Ghostbusters. They did that Ghostbusters
too. Mm-mm.
So
Please take Shafia.
Yes, please.
We'll tag along too. That's fine.
and so what's great is that as a BAFTA member you get to meet the cast and crew, or at least listen to and ask them questions about their film and various things that you're intrigued about. So that was the same thing with Transformers. So there's a BAFTA screening up, you apply for tickets, you get them. I took my kids along, and you know, the crew, the cast were just there right in front of us, and I asked a question as well, which kind of warmed them up a bit, which is good. And then at the end, Chris was just there talking to one of the kids.
Just there, hanging
I went up to him and said, Chris. He goes, oh, Saj. No, he didn't. That would have been nice, though.
Did you know that? Did you bring Shafia with you?
No. He told me not to.
No, I don't believe that.
So I just said, Chris, I said, because he was introduced to them during their conversation as I was asking a question. And I said, they'd love a picture with you. He goes, yeah, sure. And then they did a picture, and then he said, would you like one? I said, that would be your honour.
Yeah.
So my final question probably to you would be...
Final, is that it? Are we done?
Nearly.
Oh, God.
Nearly.
Wow, sorry.
Time flies when you're
What
having
else
fun.
do we need to talk? A Muslim International Film Festival. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So that's
Or
also,
as you call it, the
what's
Muslim
your
Film
future?
Festival.
What's your future? What does your future look like?
I don't know. Only Allah
What do you
knows.
want? What do you want?
What do I want?
What do you achieve?
Everything. The world and everything in it. Power, Yani. SubhanAllah. So there's quite a few things. I mean, I know this sounds probably a bit dark, but there have been a lot of people who've passed away around me. And I'm looking at how much time I might have. Probably not a long. So for me, it's what can I be doing? What can I leave behind as foundational work, so that we can keep progressing the community forward, propelling us forward, get us into those spaces that we need to be, getting us into not just being represented in front of camera, it's more about being represented across film and TV.
Yeah.
Because as more of us are in those roles that we can make decisions and we can fund projects, we also need to be the ones that can start getting our stories out there as well, because only when we have good stories, real stories, authentic stories, truthful stories, that finally wider communities will finally understand who we are, right?
Yeah.
So that's part and parcel of it. So that's why with UK Muslim Film, it's about how do we continue to build. So we're doing a schools programme at the moment.
Yeah.
And we've piloted that in Wales. And alhamdulillah, so far it's gone down well, because it's all about focusing on kids nine and onwards, and helping them understand what is good representation on screen, stereotyping, unconscious bias, and then we're coupling that with filmmaking workshops, and these kids are going nuts. But for them, they're also telling real stories about how they felt othered, or they felt that they've been perhaps represented in a negative way. And it's been a really cathartic experience, and the teachers have loved it. So I believe that the government or the education authorities are looking to make it a mandatory part of the curriculum.
Oh, wow.
So now we're trying to expand that to other parts of the country, because kids need that. If you look at the riots, what happened recently, how many kids did you see on video walking around just shouting
Things they probably don't even understand.
profanities about us, when probably it's not really coming from them, it's because they're hearing it in their houses. So that's part of it. And then there's the Muslim International Film Festival, which was, for me, alhamdulillah, was so... You came, didn't you? You were there, weren't you?
I didn't know. I couldn't make
there?
it. No, you invited me. I had something else on.
Yeah, of course you did.
I don't think I was in the country. Wasn't I in Hajj? Wasn't it in June?
No.
Yes, you were in Hajj. Yes, you were in Hajj. She didn't extend it long.
Look at my pictures on my phone. Yes, May 30th. It's Hajj. This is the Kaaba. This is something in the planning prior to COVID.
I thought you had said it happened before COVID. I think I didn't know
in
you
the
before
planning
COVID.
before COVID. SubhanAllah. This has been in the planning for a long time, and for me it was when is the right time to do it. So I finally said, right, we need to do it for 2024. It took about just under a year of solid planning, getting on board a great festival programmer, production team, everybody, PR, marketing, everything. And we had 4 great days in perhaps the most iconic location, which is the Odeon West End, which is not the big Leicester Square cinema, but it's the one next to it, which has probably the best screen in the whole of London.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. And so we had it at the Odeon West End in Leicester Square over 4 days. But we had, alhamdulillah, we had amazing support from Film 4, Channel 4, BFI, BAFTA were there. We had who else did we have? We have Creative. We had CAA. We had BBC Film. So they all came to help and support. They were on the jury as well. And the importance of that, it's about how do we now put a spotlight on Muslim filmmakers from around the world? Yeah. How do we give them that due attention and credit that they need so that they can get noticed and recognised, and they can say, oh, you know what, I loved your film. We have a project over here. Can we have that conversation? So I want to get them into those spaces. Yes. Get them into those spaces, while at the same time we were organising panels with the industry. So emerging talent or people who are thinking about going to the industry can sit and listen to, oh, this is how a short film is funded. Oh, this is how a feature is funded. This is how you go about finding a crew. This is about how you put together a budget. What are the kind of the difficulties? And then we had BBC Writers' Room, who are great support for us, and they came on board to run a whole networking class on writers, and that was completely oversubscribed. So the feedback, alhamdulillah, was good, but for me, it was about how do we create something which can be repeatable. We keep doing it every single year.
Is that an annual event?
Yeah,
you've done it before as well, isn't it? But not in London.
No, this was the first.
Okay, what was the thing you did?
The pop-up cinema. It was just it was a kind of a random thing. We had Edgbaston Stadium said, "Would you like to use our stadium?" Okay. Disney gave us one of their films, which is directed by that sister who directed one of the first films I helped produce with her. So we wanted to show her film, which was a studio film she did for Disney off the back of The Tiger Hunter.
Oh, right.
So she got picked up by one of the biggest talent agents, which was CAA. She then did a studio film called Flora and Ulysses. And so we thought, why don't we show Muslim contribution to cinema? So we showed Tiger Hunter and Flora and Ulysses, and Disney just gave us the film. They said, don't worry about it. And it went up to the CEO of Disney, had to get his approval because we had to obviously show it in public. They said, yeah, absolutely, anything to kind of support filmmakers. So we had that. It was just a lovely day in Birmingham. It was just very, I don't know if you came.
No, but I saw the adverts for it.
She was busy too. She was busy.
I was in Hajj.
Thank you, Sajid, for coming on.
Oh no! Hajj is all year round.
That's the future.
Oh my goodness.
Cool, last question from me.
Yeah,
so what's your all-time favourite film?
Oh, that's
got to
crazy.
have an all-time favourite.
I do have, and that's Back to the Future.
Oh my God, these are all my favourites.
What's yours?
Back to the Future.
Is it?
Yes, I can come
She's
with you now.
Yes.
You got a t-shirt of that, haven't you?
Oh no, I had Night Rider t-shirt, didn't I?
Are you kind of into all the kind of the 80s and 90s shows?
BA Brackers, The A-Team, you name them.
Oh my goodness! Faceman, Templeton Peck,
No, I don't
Howling
know.
Mad Murdoch. In the
Oh
80s.
yes, yeah.
Faceman.
Yes, that's what the names. Yes.
Hannibal.
Yep.
Who played Hannibal?
I don't know the name.
The guy with the white hair.
The guy with the white hair. Well, what's your favourite film?
Stand By Me.
Oh, that is lovely. And has a great soundtrack to that as well, isn't it? Amazing. And what's yours?
I'm a Lion King fan.
Oh, Lion King as well, yeah.
I love the Lion King.
What if it wasn't an animated movie? What would you like? With real people in it.
Real people.
Moving around.
I like Face Off. Face Off is good, isn't it?
And with that, thank you for... Those are two really good actors.
I'm a massive Nicolas Cage fan.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Nicolas Cage.
No one's ever said that.
I am saying that.
So you found a partner if you need to go to a
very good.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage is fantastic.
He's
extremely watchable. Especially in Ghost Rider. I love him in Ghost Rider. National Treasure is a really good
film. I like films like that as well.
And what's the one when he's in... Oh, so don't worry. I forgot one.
The one with the motorbike, the fire one.
Ghost Rider.
No, when he's in prison.
Oh,
that one where he is...
Con Air.
Yes.
Is it that one?
Yeah.
Con.
It's cold in here.
I thought you missed that one. I thought you missed it.
Yeah, she's got it.
And with that, thank you for watching watching the Empower
My
Her
name is
Play.
Nicolas Cage and it's too warm in here. Erkan.
It's dangerous then.
I love how you rename movies. You should have that as a segment. You could rename films.
We could rename everything.
Trust me, we do.
Just a few.
We do all the time.
Alhamdulillah. Well, don't forget, just continue supporting UK Muslim film and come to the film
I
festival.
will, inshallah, next time.
Yeah.
Midday
It's
in
not
advance.
during Hajj, so it's alright.
You didn't sing for us today, Sajid.
I've not. Was that on the agenda?
I don't know, a little bit would have been.
Come on, a
nice.
little
I
bit.
mean, walking in the air. The Christmas song was mentioned. That has some.
Walking there is what I used to sing.
Oh,
go for it. Go for it. We're ready. We're your
ready.
backup clickers or
Yes.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
But you do realise
Can you get that
that
falsetto?
I can actually.
Okay.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
But you do realise I'm no longer a school kid. Right?
It's about effort. This podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about effort.
That's it. It's not about quality.
Anyway.
Come on, give us a little bit. We'll
What are you going to click for? What are you
we don't like to sing.
Sounds
We don't like to
already.
sing or hammer always.
walking on air? Is that the gospel?
You guys been talking all things quiet, man.
Totally different cultures.
Well, what was your favourite choir song?
Oh Hosanna, and then got the
Oh,
whole
what? Oh,
world.
Hosanna?
What is it?
He's got the whole
I
wide
just
world.
Muslim-fied it.
Oh, you Muslim-fied it.
Yeah, Hosanna.
Hosanna?
Oh, Hosanna.
Oh,
And then the other one got the whole world in his hands.
I got the whole. The other one is yeah, I remember that one. But you've Muslified it, haven't you?
Yeah, Hosanna. Hosanna.
Osama.
Whoa. I'm gonna end it there.
Thank you for watching the Empower Her Play podcast. You can catch all of our previous episodes on all podcast platforms, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will definitely see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sajid.
Thank you, Sajid. Oh my goodness.